And this afternoon, the Electoral Commission indicating that it will not supervise the upcoming National Democratic Congress primaries if the legal suit filed against the party is not addressed in the next 72 hours. Flag bearer, hopeful of the National Democratic Congress, Dr. Kobina Dufour had earlier filed an interlocutory injunction to restrain the party from holding its May 13 primaries, citing discrepancies in the party's voters register ahead of research. For Dr. Kobina Dufour's team, Kofi Kokobo says the Electoral Commission's decision is in the right direction. He was speaking to my colleague Samuel Mbura earlier.
It's a very short meeting, a meeting of information from the Electoral Commission that they have been served with a writ, so they cannot conduct the election. That's the communication. So until the case is determined in court, they cannot conduct the elections.
So the EC has declared to you that because of the court's case, they will not be able to conduct the elections?
Yes, otherwise they will be cited for contempt of court.
So who were the parties involved in the meeting?
All the stakeholders, the elections committee, the national chairman, Asedun Ketia, John Mohammed's representative, Kojo Bonsu's representative, then Dr. Kobina Dufour's representatives.
So are you satisfied with the response from the Electoral Commission? Is this what you were looking for?
It's not about us being satisfied. What we are looking for is a credible voter register. So the communication from UC is just to tell us that because of the court case, they cannot conduct the elections.
So you are confirming to us that the election has hit a snag. You can't have it this weekend.
I'm saying that according to the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, because of the court case, until the case is determined, they cannot conduct the elections for NDC, the presidential primaries and the parliamentary primaries. They cannot conduct it.
Did you talk about the register? Did you talk about it at all? The EC just informed you?
Yes, just informed us. Because of the court issues, they will not be able to conduct the elections.
So what next? What are you going to do?
Well, we are waiting for the party. I mean, things are in the process, so we are waiting for them to unfold. There's nothing else for us to do, unless we wait for the unfolding of the process that has been activated.
Well, the legal team of the NDC is also carefully watching developments. Thankfully, we've been joined by the Director of Legal Affairs for the opposition party, Abraham Amaliba. Thank you for your time, sir. What's the way forward, knowing now that the Electoral Commission is unwilling to organize your internal race?
Blessed, let me say that this is expected. Once the EC has been served, the EC will stay its hands off. So I didn't expect anything than this. But this is the outcome that the force team were looking for. They wanted us to get to a point where the effort of the party will be thwarted, and they have succeeded in doing so. So this is an outcome that
you're taking on Dufour at this point, when indeed they've raised concerns days before taking this legal action.
I'm saying that the issues they raised are solvable, and they were being solved at the party headquarters, and they ran to court. Some of their issues were born out of ignorance, and so if they had attended the meeting yesterday, they would have been educated on some of the things. For instance, why would you say that the voters register is bloated by 7,000 persons who are not eligible to vote, when what you did was just to take the branch executives, divide them by the number of polling stations we have, got your answer, refused to include constituency executives, failed to include regional executives, failed to include Dufour himself as a former government appointee, failed to include MPs, failed to include national executives, and you say that the number is bloated. So if they had attended the meeting yesterday, their attention will be drawn to that.
Are you taking any steps to set aside what it is that the court has decided?
So legally, we are also at the registry of the court, and I'm sure by now it has been done, to file for abridgment of time so that the matter can be heard either tomorrow or Friday. So far, that is what we are doing.
And if the case is heard tomorrow or on Friday, what are the chances that you continue to hold this upcoming exercise on Saturday? Yes.
If the matter is heard tomorrow and we are able to expose the frivolity of the suit, how vexatious the suit is, how mischievous the suit is, and the court listens to us, it will rule and we can do our elections on Saturday.
You also have the option of speaking to Dr. Kwabena Dufo himself, who's first of all a member of the party and in good standing as well. He's seeking to run for the top slot of the party. So why not speak to him and engage his legal team on looking at alternatives? Is that not feasible?
Currently, we have a suit before us. As lawyers, we are concentrating on how to deal with the suit. The politics of it will be done by the General Secretary and the Chairman. So my concentration as Director of Legal is to how to get over this hurdle. And that's my concentration.
And I'm sure that you were part of the engagement that happened earlier today, right, at the Electoral Commission. What were you told?
I'm not part of it. I'm not a member of the Elections Committee.
Right, but we understand that your leading figures were there. What was the briefing? Is it the case that the EC is unwilling to carry out the process unless you shift it to a new date?
I've indicated to you that ordinarily, when a person or a party is served with a court process, such as this one, that party will say his hands off. So I don't fault the EC for the stance they have taken. I expected it, and I already told my people that once the EC is served, the EC will say his hands off. So I'm not surprised. I've told you this.
You're also confirming to us that although you had a planned meeting last night, the camp of Dr. Dufo was not present. Are you not alarmed that you don't have their representation on board as you carry out this reorganization?
These people are not ready. You have just asked me a question as to whether can't we sit with Dr. Dufo. And I'm saying that if people are not ready to sit with the party to resolve the matter and are running to court, you cannot also carry documents and be chasing them. You are not a mad person. Are we?
Yeah, but you also want to ensure that you have a united front, even after the exercise.
You're not understanding me. Somebody has been invited to a table for discussion. He's not coming. And you say we should do what? We should carry the photo albums and be chasing them from house to house? Or what is your suggestion? Tell me. The person feels comfortable in the court. And so he's gone to court. The party has instructed its lawyers to deal with the matter in court. I've just told you that we have filed for an abridgment of time. So we are dealing with the matter as the law allows.
Lawyer Abraham Amaliba, you're also a leading figure within the NDC. You're concerned about party unity, the chances, and in fact, how you appeal to Ghanaians as you carry out this reorganization process. Are you not worried that given the rank-crossed nature, at least publicly as we're seeing, of this reorganization process of the NDC, you may be courting public disaffection if this is not handled properly?
I am livid. I am angry because for a leading member of the party to take this action when there were opportunities for him within the party to resolve this matter makes me feel sad. And these are not matters that cannot be solved. In the last 4 years, when 6 people contested, similar matters came up. Similar concerns came up, and it was resolved. We are dealing with 387,000 plus delegates. There will definitely be discrepancies. When it happens that way, like it happened 4 years ago, the experts from each of the teams would come and meet the party executive, the elections committee, and they will iron out the issue. They don't go to court. I am livid, I am worried, I am angry at the step taken by Dr. Dufo That action has brought his campaign into disrepute. And you need to listen to the grassroots. We are receiving calls from the grassroots. They are angry. They are pouring their anger, their frustration at this action. So I'm not the only one.
Okay, but for the Do For campaign, they've raised some issues that perhaps you might want
if you want to go step by step,
to look at
after the other, and I will
yes,
for them.
yes. So, for instance, let's look at the duplication, for instance, of the individuals, the pictures they've put out.
That is not a problem. That is done by bringing your IT expert. Then the party will bring his IT expert. Then they will say, okay, let's delete this name. That is done. That is done every time we go for elections, because you are doing mass production. And in mass production, repetitions will come. That's how you clean the register. You don't run to court. Go to the next one.
The numbers, 54%, not deserving of being on the register itself.
Now listen to this one. The parties, the elections are governed by regulations. The regulations do not talk about photo album. You notice that his concern is hinged on photo album. The regulations talk about delegate list. And it says that after vetting, furnish the candidate or the aspirant with the delegate list. This delegate list has been furnished them way back in March. Start counting on your fingers. How many days is that? You see that he's quiet about the delegate list. The photo album is not a requirement. It is the party's own initiative to enhance the fairness of the process. So we then said that let people bring their photos and then we do a photo album. They indicated that they didn't have a full complement of the photo album. But this photo album or pictures come in bits and pieces from all over the country. So as of yesterday, the 49 remaining photo albums were ready. If they had come, we would have trusted those photo albums in their hands. You didn't come for the meeting. The photo albums are lying in the office. Should we take it and come to the court and meet you and give it to you? So I'm saying that this is a frivolous action, this is a mischievous action, this is a vexatious action meant to thwart the effort. And you see, they are beginning to reap the benefits of what they are doing. The EC says it will not attend. That's the beginning of the thwarting of the effort.
Okay. Council, just hold on for us briefly. Let's also hear from the Do For camp, because Adam Antonio, as you know, speaks for that camp. He's joining us via Zoom, so perhaps you may, of course, take advantage of that to respond to some of the legal concerns. But Adam, if you're with us, the party indicating clearly that all you could have done was to move to the headquarters, get the details of this voter album, and then you can compare it with what you have. It's as simple as that. Why are you deciding to go to court just days to the election?
Good afternoon to your listeners, and good afternoon to Amaliba. It's important to note that there's nothing dubious about going to court, and Amaliba's lawyer, there's nothing dubious about going to court to seek redress of a concern that you have when you have exhausted all internal structures. I must say that Dr. Dufour's team and Dr. Dufour himself is very much committed to using or engaging internal structures of the party.
I'm sorry, did you say you've exhausted all internal?
Yeah, allow me to land. I would
yeah, I'm asking because of the claim lawyer Abraham Amaliba made. The fact that even last night you were not present at what was supposed to be a meeting for all the parties involved.
The claim is not accurate, and let me give you the sequence of events. So it will establish the fact that Dr. Dufour has engaged the structures of the party, and the only resort now we have is to use the legal field. On the 17th, we wrote, and Amaliba admitted that the party decided to use the photo album to enhance the credibility, transparency of the election. So it's the party's own initiative that we all commend, which is good. The party then decided that they will give the aspirants the photo album. So we cannot question whether the photo album is legitimate or not, because that's what we were going to use. So Dr. Dufour wrote a letter to the party on the 17th of April requesting for the said photo album that the party had decided to through the party initiative I started to use. There was no response, official response to that letter. Dr. Dufo again wrote a second letter, a follow-up letter on the 2nd of May to the party for the said photo album. It wasn't given. On the 4th of May, there was a meeting with the presidential electoral committee of the party, and an incomplete photo album was given to the aspirants. That's on the 4th of May. Initially, the committee said they were given 228 constituencies. But when we did our own mining of the data, we realized that it was 220 constituencies. So we decided to work with that. This was on the 4th of May. On the 5th and on the 6th, Dr. Dufour's team were able to work on the photo album that the party provided us and identify some infractions and anomalies. What do a loyal party person who respects numbers do? We wrote back to the party on the 7th of May that these are the concerns, the evidence, region by region, post station by post station. That's a 40-page document. Attach the letter to it, and then advise that because of these infractions that we've seen, it's important that we postpone the election, and this is us being proactive. Postpone the election, invite all stakeholders, all three aspirants, whoever has a stake in this election, to a round table. We agree on a time frame. Then we can move on to have a free, transparent election. The posturing of some members or some leaders of the party did not inspire confidence. And we are going to have election on the 13th. So what do you expect a reasonable, law-abiding citizen to do? Is to resort to court. And that is what, when the NDC decided not to, we decided on the 2020 when we were not happy with the results, we went to court. That cannot be described as anti-Ghana or anti-political or democracy. Using the court for redress should be something that should be encouraged. But that should only be encouraged when you've exhausted the internal structures of the party. And I've stated to you, giving you dates of letters that have been written to the party and there was no official correspondence. So this is something that we should not fight over. You've provided us a photo album, delegate, whatever it is. We've identified infractions. Kojo Bonsu, I'm hearing, has also identified infractions after he's gone to the photo album. We've not heard about former president. Maybe he's not done it, but he's also audited the photo album that was given him. Maybe we can hear his view on the photo album. If the photo album...
Adam? We'll get back to Adam.
Let's come to and those.
Adam, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. We lost you there briefly.
Nobody suggesting anybody is up to something. Those mistakes can be legitimate. But we are saying that because of the time left for the election, we might not be able to complete it. So the reasonable thing to do is postpone it.
Well, we'll quickly try and raise Adam Ashino, who speaks for the Dufo campaign. But Lawyer Abraham Amaliba, you're still with us. So he says that it's not as though they've not exhausted the internal mechanisms.
Hello?
Yes, Counsel, you had Adam Ashino indicating there that it's not as though they've not exhausted all the internal mechanisms.
He says they have exhausted all the internal mechanisms.
Yeah, precisely as he's pointing out.
No, that is not true, because there was supposed to be a meeting yesterday. That was part of the meeting that would resolve some of the issues that any aspirant has. So once they fail to come, they can't say they have exhausted. There's no indication of that. In any case, have they brought their concerns before the Council of Elders? Ask him that question. That's another stage of, or another level of our party. Have they done so? So that's not true.
But it appears that he's talking about Kojo Bonsu, who we've also heard from earlier today, pointing out that he supports the court processes that Dr. Dufo is taking to. Does that not suggest that these two individuals, two contenders, 2 out of 3, majority, if we should say, are raising concerns about the process?
So if you are raising concern about the process, what is under this sun that cannot be resolved? So why are you running to court when the matters can be resolved? They are only 3 this time. I'm telling you, when they were 6, similar matters came up. Pio Gabriel had issues. The other man, the colored man, the Apostle Professor Alabi, Guzitando had issues. Guzitando's representative was Chichi Poku. They were all invited to the party headquarters, and we dealt with those issues. These people do not mean well. That's why they are going to court. And I'm saying that whatever issue they have could have been resolved. The example I gave you, if they had come for a meeting, wouldn't that be explained to them that this your calculation you did, you've left out the constituency executive, you've left out regional executive, you've even left out the group that Dufour belongs to. So please, let them come to the negotiating table and we can deal with this matter.
Okay, Council, as we wrap up, there are many delegates out there, some of them brandishing, if I could use that word, their party cards, waiting earnestly to choose the next set of leaders for the party. Would you ask them to hold on, exercise restraint, and that the process is made delayed?
I know they are livid all over the country. The party delegates are livid, they are angry. Nobody is supporting this type of action. Don't forget that some of them were supposed to have left for the island communities. They will travel on the water one day before they get to the island communities. All these things have been put in place. The NDC as a party itself has spent money already, paid the EC, the agents, police all over the country. So I know people are livid and angry at the action brought up by Dr. Dufour. But as lawyers, we are using the law, the regulations, the rules of court to see how we can have this application heard in good time before Saturday. So they should be rest assured and wait for that exercise to happen.
All right then. Grateful for your time this afternoon. Abraham Amaliba is the Director of Legal Affairs for the National Democratic Congress. Adam, are you still with us? Let's wrap up. So what's the way forward? You wait till Monday?
I'm here. I mean, I do identify with Amaliba's reconciliatory closing remarks. All we're trying to do is to build a strong party. And these concerns that have been raised and are not concerns that cannot be resolved, but we will need time to resolve it. And the only logical thing to do is to postpone the election, resolve it, and have the election, then everybody knows the outcome. We come together as a strong party to win 2024. So this is something that should strengthen us, and it's nothing to divide us. I will entreat the delegates not to deliver it, because clearly there's a lot of misinformation out there. Dr. Dufour is protecting your ballot, and this action is clear indication that Dr. Dufour is the one that can protect their vote when should they vote come 2024. So I mean, this is really nothing to fight over, and we are committed to building a strong party. No one is anti-NDC, and the MPP has no business in this internal contest.
Okay then, Adam Ashnyo speaks for Dr. Dufour, and we'll be watching the space, but we're still on the campaign trail. Former President John Dramani Mahama stated that he is not going to shield or interfere in investigations of persons alleged to be involved in corrupt practices by anti-graft institutions in the country, should he be giving the nod to run the affairs of the country after the 2024 polls. He made the statement in Wa during his campaign tour of the Upper West region. Correspondent Rafiq Salam has more in this report.
Former President John Dramani Mahama wrapped up his first day campaign tour of the Upper West region at the West Central constituency, where he interacted with the over 1,800 delegates who will be taking part in the party's primaries on Saturday. He stated that all signs favor the return of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, return to power. However, what the party needs is a healthy majority in parliament to enable it to deliver on its mandate upon assumption of power. He noted that cannot be achieved without unity in the party. He therefore urged the 4 aspirants for the party's primary and their supporters not to see each other as enemies but as a family contest. John Dramani Mahama then chided at the Akufo-Addo administration for having no clue in the management of the country's economy. He averred that the biggest group of disappointed people in the country now are supporters of the ruling New Patriotic Party, NPP.
They have no clue where they are going. And those who are more disappointed in this country than anybody else is the MPP people themselves. The MPP people themselves are more disappointed than anybody else because the government has been hijacked by a few family and friends. And it's like a football. If your relative is not inside, they'll never pass the ball to you. And so the time has come, my brothers and sisters, for us to rise up and rescue our country.
The former president earlier in the day was at the Lemuse constituency where he rolled out plans of fighting corruption should he be given the nod in the 2024 polls.
Any person, whether in my government or outside my government or in the previous MPP government, if the anti-corruption institutions are dealing with you, that is your business. Because we must save this country. This country is not for a few people. It's for all of us. And we need to build it so that we can leave a legacy for our children and our grandchildren. And I can assure you we are up to the task and we're going to deliver a better standard of governance than MPP have ever delivered. We're going to teach Ghanaians that government can be far better than what they are seeing today.
He also made a stopover at the Laura Senior High School where he met delegates and supporters of the party.
When NDC was in government, we knew free SHS was going to increase the student numbers. Space in the secondary for children. And then aside from that, on all the campuses, we started building dormitories, administration blocks, dining halls, classroom blocks, and all that. After we left office, they took the GET fund, went and mortgaged it to build 16 STEM secondary schools. And all the projects we were building, the E-blocks, projects in the secondary schools have come to a standstill because they don't have money to pay the contractors. And so today there's not enough dormitory space. And so the children are packed like sardines in the dormitories. Today, the quality of food that we feed the children, I can see that some of my children are here. The quality of food you're feeding our children is poor, is not good. And if a child does not eat properly in the morning and goes and sits in class, what can they study? What can they learn?
Reporting for the news, Rafik Salam. Wow.